Day 13 of the Oscar Pistorius trial, a short day in court today, but a very dramatic one. Back on the stand, we had Captain Chris Mangena, the ballistics expert, and today he told the court his conclusions. He examined the bullet holes on that all-important toilet door. He marked them A, B, C, and D. He said he believed the bullets were fired in this order, that the first shot would have hit Reeva Steenkamp as she was standing facing the door.
It was 2 double taps.
Lady, I tend to disagree with that.
Why is that?
My lady, we look at the wound sustained by the deceased. If it's 2 double taps, she's in a standing position. I would expect both wounds to be here. The first double tap, if it's double tap and then double tap, then all the wounds will be here on this position.
Wow.
There won't be any chance for the deceased to change position in that instance. It's impossible.
The second shot, he said, missed her and ricocheted off the wall, causing bruising on her back. At this point, she would have put her hands up in a defensive position. He actually demonstrated this, putting his hands over his head to demonstrate how she would have been cowering there on the floor. He said then the third shot would have shattered her arm, and the fourth bullet would have passed through her hand, shattering her skull and exiting the back of her head. So a very clear timeline of how Reeva Steenkamp would have died behind that locked bathroom door. Captain Mangena was a very assured, expert witness. He was not taking any cross-examination from Barry Roo. He was very determined, very insistent, and very animated every time he was asked by Roo if he was sure that his version was correct. Roo said that he will call an expert to show that Reeva Steenkamp's shoulder, right shoulder, was facing towards the bathroom door, and that is how her arm was injured from one of the bullets. So basically he is disputing the evidence that Reeva Steenkamp was cowering with her hands in a defensive position. Of course, Mangena didn't talk about this, but he also mentioned that there would have been a pause between the first and second bullet, which would then add credence to the expert testimony from neighbors who said that they heard screams. There would have been enough time, according to Mangena's evidence, to allow for those screams.
So we don't have to believe the accused. We have a version by Dr. Stipp. Doof, doof, doof. Quick succession, and he explained it as quick succession.
But it can happen, the doof, 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 when referring to the second, the third, and the fourth shots. But with the first shot, what I can explain is between the first shot and the second shot, there's a break.
Roo's cross-examination of Mangena was very short. He was unable to shake him, and he provided a very different face to the South African Police Service than that we have seen over the past 2 weeks, where we've heard evidence of bungling of a crime scene. The blood spatter expert came next, Colonel van der Nest, very short, very little cross-examination. He provided graphic photographs of the bleeding, the blood spatter, Reeva Steenkamp's blood-soaked hair, and inside the toilet we saw debris, which he said was probably brain matter and blood and hair from Reeva Steenkamp's head, which would have hit the toilet. After that fourth bullet hit her, she would have then slumped over the toilet and then died after that fourth bullet.
The pieces of broken hair and particulate and bone matter would follow in the direction of the projectile, because that's the conal direction of the force. So she must have sustained or received the wound somewhere in front of the lid of the toilet.
The final witness was a Colonel Sale. He spoke about an iPad that was found on the scene, and that he managed to download the history of what Oscar Pistorius would have been surfing on the night before the shooting. There were in fact 2 iPads that he downloaded. We saw one of the pages which showed the history, and it details that Oscar Pistorius, around about 6:30 at night, when Reeva Steenkamp was there, was surfing fast car websites and porn websites. But no explanation was given as to the significance of this, if any at all. Then we had a surprise announcement from Gerrie Nel, the prosecutor. They had initially planned to call 107 witnesses. We've heard from 16 of them. He said in court today that he has about 5 more witnesses to go and plans to wrap up his case early next week.